These aren't movie scenes. This is Earth, unfiltered. We live on a planet of immense power. Forces churn beneath us and swirl above. Our cities stand on a fragile crust. We cling to an illusion of stability. But nature's power is immense and indifferent. It operates on a grander timescale. Moments of upheaval reveal its true nature. The planet is a living, powerful entity. Its cycles of creation and destruction are ancient. When unleashed, these forces are humbling. Nature doesn't ask permission. These moments remind us who's boss. Today we look at 5 of the most devastating ways our planet can strike back. The very ground beneath us, which we take for granted as the ultimate symbol of stability, is in constant, albeit slow, motion. The Earth's crust is not a single solid shell, but a jigsaw puzzle of enormous tectonic plates. These colossal slabs of rock drift upon the molten mantle below, grinding against one another, pulling apart or colliding with unimaginable force. For years, even centuries, the pressure along these fault lines can build, a silent, gathering tension invisible to us on the surface. It is a titanic struggle between geological giants, an accumulation of energy that must eventually find a release. When that breaking point is reached, the stored energy is unleashed in an instant, sending seismic waves radiating through the crust like ripples in a pond. This is an earthquake. The power is almost incomprehensible. A major earthquake can release energy equivalent to thousands of atomic bombs, shaking the ground with such violence that buildings turn to rubble in seconds. Landscapes are permanently altered, mountains can rise, and the very course of rivers can be diverted. It is a brutal and sudden reminder that the solid Earth is in fact fluid and dynamic, capable of transforming from a sanctuary into a death trap without any warning. The deadliest earthquake ever recorded struck Shanxi, China in the year 1556. While its magnitude is estimated to have been around 8.0, its timing and location created a catastrophe of unparalleled scale. The majority of the population lived in Yaodong's artificial caves carved into the soft Loess cliffs. When the quake struck in the dead of night, these homes collapsed, burying their inhabitants alive. The resulting landslides and fissures swallowed whole communities. The death toll was staggering, estimated at over 830,000 people. It stands as a chilling testament to how the combination of immense natural power and human vulnerability can lead to tragedy on a scale that defies imagination. Deep within the Earth, immense heat and pressure melt rock into a thick, flowing substance known as magma. Lighter than the solid rock surrounding it, this molten material, along with trapped gases, seeks a path to the surface. It rises through fissures and conduits, collecting in chambers beneath the Earth's crust. As more magma accumulates, the pressure builds, like a soda bottle being shaken. A volcano is simply a vent, a weak point in the crust where this incredible pressure can finally find its violent, explosive release. It is one of the planet's most fundamental processes of creation and renewal, building new land from the molten heart of the world itself. The eruption, when it comes, can be a spectacle of terrifying beauty and destructive force. It's not just the slow-moving rivers of lava that pose a threat, but the far more deadly pyroclastic flows. These are superheated avalanches of ash, gas, and rock fragments, moving at hurricane speeds and incinerating everything in their path. The eruption can blast ash and sulfur dioxide high into the stratosphere, capable of blocking out the sun and altering global climate for years. It is a multifaceted assault, a combination of explosive power, searing heat, and long-term atmospheric impact that can render entire regions uninhabitable. Perhaps the most infamous eruption in history was that of Mount Tambora in Indonesia in 1815. This was a cataclysm of global proportions. The explosion was so colossal it was heard over 1,600 miles away and ejected an estimated 150 cubic kilometers of ash and rock into the atmosphere. It created the year without a summer in 1816, as a volcanic winter descended upon the northern hemisphere. Crops failed, livestock died, and famine spread across Europe and North America. The immediate eruption killed tens of thousands, but the subsequent starvation and disease claimed tens of thousands more, making it the most destructive volcanic event in recorded human history. The ocean, vast and deep, holds an energy that is honestly kind of difficult to fathom. While we're all familiar with waves generated by wind, a tsunami is a beast of an entirely different origin and scale. It's born not from the sky, but from the seafloor itself. When a massive underwater earthquake, a submarine landslide, or a volcanic eruption violently displaces a colossal volume of water, the potential for a tsunami is created. It's not just a single wave, but a series of waves, a pulse of energy that travels across the entire ocean basin. Out in the deep ocean, this energy is barely noticeable, just a slight rise in the sea's surface, passing beneath ships undetected. But as this wave train approaches the shallower waters of a coastline, its character changes dramatically. The energy that was spread throughout the deep column of water becomes compressed. The wave slows down, but its height grows exponentially, rearing up from the sea into a towering wall of water that can be tens of meters high. What makes it so destructive isn't just its height, but the sheer volume of water behind it. It's not a wave that breaks and recedes, but a relentless surging flood that can travel miles inland, basically scouring the landscape clean with the force of a liquid bulldozer. The deadliest tsunami in living memory was the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami. It was triggered by a magnitude 9.1 megathrust earthquake off the coast of Sumatra, the third largest earthquake ever recorded. The rupture was immense, displacing the seafloor and unleashing a series of devastating waves that radiated across the Indian Ocean, striking 14 countries. With little to no warning systems in place, coastal communities were caught completely unaware. The waves annihilated everything in their path, from small fishing villages to tourist resorts. The final death toll was estimated to be around 230,000 people, a horrific tragedy that really highlighted the terrifying speed and reach of these oceanic behemoths. Hurricanes, also known as typhoons or cyclones depending on where they form, are the great heat engines of our planet's atmosphere. They're born over the warm tropical waters of the ocean, where the sun's energy creates a vast expanse of moist, hot air. As this air rises, it cools and condenses, releasing latent heat which fuels the storm's development. The Earth's rotation through the Coriolis effect sets this rising column of air into a spiral. If conditions are right, with low wind shear and sufficiently warm sea surface temperatures, this fledgling disturbance can grow into a highly organized, rotating storm system of immense power. A mature hurricane is honestly a masterpiece of atmospheric architecture. At its center is the calm, clear eye, an area of descending air and light winds. But surrounding this deceptive tranquility is the eye wall, the most violent part of the storm, where the strongest winds and heaviest rains are found. These winds can exceed 155 miles per hour, capable of tearing roofs from houses and snapping trees like twigs. But the wind is only part of the threat. The storm's low pressure and powerful winds push a dome of water onto the land known as the storm surge, which can cause catastrophic coastal flooding far more deadly than the winds themselves. The most intense hurricane ever recorded to make landfall was Hurricane Dorian in 2019, when it struck the Bahamas. It reached peak intensity as a Category 5 storm, with sustained winds of 185 miles per hour, tying the record for the strongest Atlantic hurricane at landfall. For over 24 hours the storm stalled over the islands of Abaco and Grand Bahama, subjecting them to a relentless, prolonged assault. The combination of extreme winds and a storm surge of over 20 feet was just apocalyptic. Entire neighborhoods were flattened, reduced to foundations and debris. It was a stark demonstration of how a hurricane's power is magnified when it moves slowly, concentrating its destructive fury on one unfortunate location. Fire is a natural and honestly essential part of many ecosystems, a force of renewal that clears out old growth and allows for new life to emerge. However, under certain conditions this natural process can escalate into a terrifying and pretty much uncontrollable force of destruction, a wildfire. The recipe for such a disaster is deceptively simple. Fuel, in the form of dry grass, brush and trees. An ignition source, which could be anything from a lightning strike to a spark from human activity, and weather conditions that fan the flames, like high temperatures, low humidity, and strong winds. When these three elements align, a small spark can explode into a raging inferno. The intensity of a modern megafire is, honestly, difficult to overstate. It's not simply a fire that burns across the ground, it creates its own weather system. The immense heat generates powerful updrafts or fire whirls that can hurl embers far ahead of the main fire front, starting new spot fires and allowing the blaze to jump over rivers and highways. The flames can reach hundreds of feet into the air, and the radiant heat is so intense it can kill trees and ignite homes long before the fire itself arrives. It moves with astonishing speed, consuming thousands of acres in a matter of hours, a roaring, monstrous entity that seems to have a life of its own. The 2019 to 2020 bushfire season in Australia, known as the Black Summer, stands as one of the most destructive wildfire events on record. Following a prolonged period of record-breaking drought and heat, the country was a tinderbox. The fires that ignited were unprecedented in their scale and ferocity, burning an estimated 46 million acres of land, an area larger than the country of Syria. Entire towns were devastated, over 3 billion animals were killed or displaced, and the smoke choked major cities and even circumnavigated the globe. The Black Summer was a harrowing vision of a future where climate change exacerbates the power of these natural events, pushing them to new and terrifying extremes. Earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, hurricanes, and wildfires, these aren't malicious acts but the raw, impartial mechanics of a planet that's very much alive. They're the forces that have shaped our world for eons, building mountains, forging islands, and renewing landscapes. We, in our relatively brief time on this planet, have built our lives in the midst of these powerful cycles. The events we've witnessed today aren't anomalies, they're an integral part of the Earth's character. They're a profound and often tragic reminder of our place within a system far greater and more powerful than ourselves. As our climate changes and our population grows, our interaction with these natural forces will only become more critical. Understanding them is not just a matter of scientific curiosity, it really is a matter of survival. We must learn from the past, respect the power of the natural world, and adapt our way of living to coexist with these ever-present threats. Our planet gives us everything we need to live, but it demands our respect. Ignoring its power or underestimating its potential for change is a risk we can no longer afford to take. Our future depends on a deeper connection and a more humble relationship with the world that is our only home. These 5 forces represent some of the most extreme expressions of Earth's power, each terrifying in its own unique way. The sudden violence of the ground shaking, the fiery breath of a volcano, the unstoppable wall of water, the spiraling fury of the wind, or the consuming hunger of a wildfire. Which of these scares you the most? Comment below. And if you found this journey into the power of our planet insightful, please consider subscribing for more explorations of our incredible world.